per 9000's game room.
Fatal Fury King of Fighters, otherwise known as Garo Dentsu Shukomi no Tatake, if I'm saying that right, which translates to Legend of the Hungry Wolf, The Battle of Destiny, is a head-to-head fighting game released by SNK for the Neo Geo arcade and home platforms in 1991. As a youngster, I played this in the arcades on one of the red Neo Geo multi-slot cabinets and loved it. I brought its Mega Drive port upon its release in 1993, and eventually for a while, a few years later, I actually owned a Neo Geo AES home system and this game, along with 4 other titles. The important thing to realise is that the Neo Geo AES cart was exactly the same as the arcade machine. Neo Geo arcade machine carts are referred to as MVS carts, but there's no real difference between playing an MVS or AES cart. They hold the exact same game, one is just made to plug into an arcade system and the other a home system. I didn't actually play this SNES version till much later. Over the years, some people have looked at this game and kind of dismissed it while saying something on the lines of, "Oh sheesh, another Street Fighter 2 wannabe." Yet others have loved it. An important thing to remember is that the game was designed by Takeshi Nishima, who was the creator of the original Street Fighter game. Fatal Fury was never a copy of Street Fighter 2. Nishima envisioned it as being a spiritual successor to the original Street Fighter. It wasn't pieced together by copying Street Fighter 2, as it was in fact being developed at the same point in time as Street Fighter 2. So the obvious question everyone will have at this point is, well, is it as good as Street Fighter 2 or what? Well, the gameplay follows the usual formula of one-on-one fighting games from this time period. Basically, you play against the computer in a best 2 out of 3 contest. You move with your D-pad, but unlike Street Fighter 2 and its 6 attack buttons covering 3 different strengths of kick and punch, here you only basically have 3 attack buttons, 1 punch, 1 kick and a button for throws. Each of the characters in the game has their own special attack, which is performed by inputting specific commands and combinations, many of them being the same sort of motions that you would find in Street Fighter 2. However, I think they are much harder to pull off, demanding more precise motions. The main problem with this version lays with the conversion. When you look at Street Fighter 2, people have called the SNES version a perfect conversion, which while that is not true, you could see how people would think this. Unless you have a SNES and an arcade machine running side by side, it wouldn't be that easy to point out any of the major differences. Yet while the home Neo Geo AES version of Fatal Fury is an exact replica of its arcade counterpart, the other ports were no way near so lucky. If you're used to being able to play an arcade story mode as pretty much anyone in a game's lineup of characters, then you're in for a surprise here, as this mode only lets you pick from one of 3 fighters. Terry Bogard, a cocky baseball hat wearing American street fighter out to revenge his father's death, Andy Bogard, his younger brother, who has a far more graceful Japanese fighting style, and Joe Higashi, Muay Thai fighter and friend to the Bogard brothers. This in and of itself is not a huge problem though. It does cut down on one player replay value, which is true for both the original and this port. The story is also not going to win any awards. You're either one of the Bogard brothers or their friend, and you're entering the martial arts tournament to beat everyone else so that you can face off against the man who killed your father. Or your friend's father. And that's as complex as it gets. It makes sense for the 2 brothers. After all, if someone killed your dad, you'd probably want to at least kick their head in. And murder him, then wouldn't probably be that far off your mind. You can imagine the whole "you killed my dad, now die" speeches that would be made. Yet Joe's reason feels a little lacking. Yeah, I was told you killed my friend's dad, so I'm here to kill you. Doesn't sound quite as epic. Don't get me wrong, I've liked some of my friends' dads over the years, but I'd be far more likely to buy them a beer and comfort them over the phone or help them phone the police than go and try and win a whole martial arts tournament to kill a man in cold blood just to make them feel a little bit better. You know, most people wouldn't like the serious prison time and being grabbed in the night in prison for a surprise type of naked cuddle that this would lead to. Still, the point is, less playable characters doesn't just mean less playable characters, it means less stories, less endings, less variation. On the Neo Geo, this game had an interesting mechanic where there were two lanes of play, an upper and a lower, and you could switch between them to avoid projectiles and such, and this gave the game a unique flavour. This is however missing from both the SNES and Mega Drive ports of this game, which really does the game a disservice. The game looks fine with nice sprites and a wide variety of opponents, decent sounds and music, but it's all very forgettable when put by the side of Street Fighter 2, which is a darn shame. You can find some enjoyment here, but it will be limited. You'll most likely struggle with the specials, and when you get to the last boss, the broken mechanics will have you pulling your hair out as he cheap shots you again and again. Still, those used to SNK fighters will be a little more used to bosses who seem to have near godlike status, so we'll be used to this repeatedly having to retry at this point. I feel really bad that I have kept bringing up Street Fighter 2 while discussing this game, because I feel the Neo Geo version at least offers something that is very much its own game. However, with this SNES version and how things have been cut down, it feels a lot worse, and it doesn't surprise me that a lot of people would have played it and gone, ah, it's another Street Fighter 2 knockoff. I do think this game is much better in multiplayer with friends. When both of you have the same handicap of hard to perform specials, it just feels a lot more competitive than you struggling to pull off some form of fireball and the computer repeatedly doing them with ease. I'm a big fan of SNK fighters, but this is not the place to start a love affair with them, at least not on this console. I find myself having to give this game a 6 out of 10 on the SNES, and would only recommend it if you really want a new fighter and you have lots of the better ones already. I'd also say that if you have a more modern system and just want the game as opposed to a SNES cart for your collection, then you should probably look at ways of playing the Neo Geo version, which I'd score a lot higher, probably around 7.5. I'm sure it's been released on various online stores for more modern machines, and it can also be found on the SNK Arcade Classics Volume 1 compilation disc, which was released for the PlayStation 2, PlayStation Portable and Wii. If you need a SNES cart for some reason, then the cheapest power ones I've seen tended to be around £15. And it's also worth noting that Fatal Fury 2 and Fatal Fury Special also hit the SNES, and you might find them far more improved. Okay, that's Kerr9000 signing off. Keep on gaming.